So once again, we have a claim that there are Republican senators willing, ready, or interested in convicting Donald Trump in the expected impeachment trial in the United States Senate. Now, we had a story a week or two ago that had a Democratic senator, Chris Murphy, saying that there are Republican senators. He says he can count them on one hand, but that there are Republican senators who are ready to convict Donald Trump in the Senate. There was really no evidence of this. It was just Chris Murphy saying that that's what he believes. We have another person saying this, but this time it is a Republican, not a Democrat. It's Bill Weld, former Republican governor of Massachusetts, who is also running, I guess, in some technical sense, although it's not going anywhere, a primary campaign against Donald Trump. Bill Weld was interviewed by The Hill, and he said, quote, "I know most of the senior Republicans in the Senate. They're picking their words carefully when they talk to me, of all people, even though we are friends. I wouldn't want to get quoted. I don't even like to ask someone to do something which is not in their political self-interest. But yeah, I would say there are 4 to 6 votes for removal right now." So there are two responses to this. Number one is no way. And number two is so what? And I'll explain each of those responses. First of all, there's no evidence right now that there are really 4 to 6 Republican senators ready to convict Donald Trump on impeachment in the Senate. Every indication we have so far is that they will go against impeachment. Republicans in the Senate will. You might even see a centrist Democrat like Joe Manchin also go against impeachment in the Senate. But can we come up with a list that is at least circumstantially reasonable of Republicans that might vote to convict Donald Trump? Sure. We talked about it last week. Susan Collins in Maine, often a candidate, has been an occasional critic of Trump. But the caveat is, in the end, she'll say a lot of things, but in the end, she'll get in line like she did with Brett Kavanaugh and his confirmation to the Supreme Court. Mitt Romney, senator from Utah. Mitt Romney has had many public disagreements with Donald Trump. They've had very acute bad blood between them, I guess I would say. It's conceivable Mitt Romney might say he would impeach, but previously, when asked, he has not given any indication that he would. Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. Her name always comes up anytime they say, well, here's a more reasonable Republican who might depart from Republican orthodoxy. Her name is mentioned. Cory Gardner. There's a couple of others. But as I said before, this is where we go from no way to so what. Even if 4 to 6 Republicans vote to convict Trump, it won't remove Trump. And it will get those Republicans ostracized by the Republican Party. Because remember, you need 2/3 of the Senate, that's 67 senators, to vote to convict in order to remove the president. There are 45 Democrats and 2 independents that caucus with the Democrats. That means you need to find 20 Republicans. If you have maybe 4 to 6, you don't have the numbers. Now, the argument would be, in order to be thorough here, the argument would be, if there are already 4 to 6 Republicans and we haven't even had a trial, there could be more coming. There could be momentum. The best path to making removal of Trump a reality is something that's not going to happen, which is if the Senate passes a measure to make impeachment votes a secret ballot, where they vote privately instead of publicly. This way, you could have exactly 20 Republicans vote to impeach. It would get Trump removed, but no one would initially know which were the 20 that voted to convict. But again, there is no indication that there exists a political appetite for this in the Republican Party. And the question also is, could such a measure even be passed with Mitch McConnell running the show in the Senate as majority leader, given that he says the White House will be in total coordination with him as to how the Senate trial would be run? Certainly the White House would know that a secret ballot would not be advantageous to Donald Trump because it would allow some Republicans to vote to convict without suffering the political consequences and the wrath of Trump as a result. Very difficult to imagine that Mitch McConnell even lets that be a serious discussion. That's what we know so far. Tell me what you think. Agree, disagree. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, of course, after hitting like and subscribe. If you're watching or listening anywhere else, send me a tweet at @Pakman. And I believe we will have a follow-up story about this on the David Pakman Show Instagram, which you can find at David Pakman Show on your Instagram app.